I'm Robert Cavuto, and today on Metal Rules, I'm pleased to be speaking with Dario Lorina, famously known as the guitarist in Black Label Society with Zakk Wylde. But today we're talking about his new band, Dark Chapel, for the release of their new album, or debut album, I should say, Spirit in the Glass, which will be released on February 28th. Welcome, Dario. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, Robert, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So when you started with Zakk, like when you were 24 years old and you previously worked with Janie Lane and Lizzie Borden, how does it feel to be starting a brand new band over again?
Yeah, starting Dark Chapel now. I mean, I'm psyched. It just feels like another, natural thing to be doing. But yeah, no, I'm psyched about the whole thing. I can't wait for everybody to hear the whole album.
How long? I heard it. I think it's tremendous. And I have some questions about it and a little bit, some of the songs. How long has the band been in the works?
Yeah, so Dark Chapel has been in the creation process for a few years, and I actually recorded half the album a few years ago, and then I finished writing it, and we recorded the rest of it in this past year, 2024. So yeah, we've been working on it for a little bit.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting because Zakk, Black Label Society tours relentlessly. I think you guys were one of the first bands to play post-pandemic. I think I saw you right out of the gate November of that year. Um, how did you find time to write this and record it? So you mentioned that it was broken out really into two parts, but you're still writing and you're still planning it all out. It's a lot of work while you're touring, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I would just be when I'm home, I'm always demoing or writing or working on something, putting stuff into Pro Tools. So I was always working on songs. So I just recorded some, like I was saying a few years ago, in between Black Label touring, just here and there. And then during this past year is when I was able to just complete it all. Um, so yeah, it all came together then.
Tell me about the band. How did you pick them? Are they your friends? Where have you met them, and so on?
Yeah, so they're all guys I knew here in Vegas. And I recorded half that album a few years ago. So that was with a few other friends of mine here in Vegas, phenomenal musicians. And yeah, so this year came to complete the lineup with Mike Gunn and Lewis and Dylan Dice on guitar. So we just did the two shows with Zakk Sabbath last
Yeah.
week. So yeah, it's killer.
How was the reception to those shows? Because you're out there playing brand new songs that nobody's really heard.
Yep. Yeah. I think I mean, it was awesome. It was an awesome experience. I feel like people were digging it. So we look forward to more.
I have to imagine that, since you were opening up for Zakk Sabbath, that Zakk was very encouraging of you to put this band together and put out an album. Tell me a little about this conversation you must have had with Zakk and your interest in pursuing it.
Yeah, no, he's 100% supportive. He's absolutely amazing. Yeah, he knew I was working on this for a bit, just talking about it over the years. So, yeah, it's awesome to have his support and was psyched to do more with it.
What was some advice he gave you when you were making the album? I mean, you're an extremely talented guitarist, no doubt, keyboard player, singer, but he must have given you something, a little bit of advice on doing this.
Yeah, just basically just do what you love and roll with it, you know?
Yes.
Yep.
Good. That's perfect. Was it when you were playing those shows with him, was it difficult to win over the crowd? I mean, you're a staple of Black Label Society for what, 14 years or something. So was the crowd's reaction receptive to you? And how did you maybe win them over?
Yeah, both crowds were amazing. I think they were great. So, all in all, it was awesome. So, yeah, we look forward to more of all that.
Are you planning any more tours upcoming?
Yeah, we're working on all that right now. Our next with Dark Chapel will be March 1st in Vegas at Vamped, which will be our album release show because the
Cool.
album comes out on February 28th. Next day, March 1st, which is a Saturday, we'll be doing that show, playing the album in full. And we have Don Jameson, comedian, as our special guest to open it up. So that's going to be a good time.
Yeah, it should be fun. How about past that? Are you guys planning a tour? I don't know how it coincides with Black Label Society's schedule or
Yeah,
Pentagon.
we're working on all that right now with Dark Chapel. We'll definitely be out there.
Oh, very good. I look forward to seeing you. I'm in New Jersey, so I look forward to seeing you when you guys.
Okay, right on.
That's
Awesome. Yeah, yeah.
cool. How do you approach each band's different style of music from a guitar perspective?
You know what? I don't really approach it any differently. It kind of all is in that same wheelhouse of
Yeah.
guitar-driven riff rock. So it's pretty much the same approach. And for Black Label, you know, Doom Crew Incorporated playing solos. So Zakk just sends me the songs with the open slots for solos and goes, "Do your thing here." Um, so yeah, same for what we're working on now. But yeah, it's the same approach.
Do you get to write with Zach? When I get stream the music, you don't really have all the information as far as who wrote what, but do you get to write with Zach too? On this
So
dude
that's
is amazing.
Yeah, so Zakk, that's all Zakk, Black Label. But I'm writing my solo parts. He'll give me a blank section, say this is your solo section, and I'll spend some time putting something down on it and going from there. But as far as the song, that's Zakk.
That's all Zach. Yeah. I think my two favorite songs were Afterglow and Hollow Smile. I really thought there was some Dokken and George Lynch influence on those two songs, a vibe. Does he influence your playing at all?
As far as like on the solos,
Or just in general? I thought Hollow Smile was very Lightning Strikes riff, Dokken-esque.
okay, right on. Yeah, Afterglow is one of my favorites also, which is the opening song in the album. Um, I don't know if I would have put my finger on Dokken or George Lynch as far as riff inspiration wise, but George Lynch for sure, as far as an inspiration, guitar playing, soloing, he was definitely, I spent a lot of time flipping that tape over and over and over, Lynch Mob stuff or whatever. So I loved George Lynch. So yeah, I'm sure some of that's seeping out.
Yeah, it definitely was the same way with the record, trying to slow it down to learn, it's not love, over and over and over again to play with my band. So that was, I could relate to it.
Absolutely. I mean, I had an old car still in the early 2000s, so I had a tape player in there. So, I had an adapter to plug an MP3 player in or whatever, but I had a tape actually in there flipping it over. So, uh, yeah,
Yeah, I needed to sit down in front of the stereo system with the guitar, a little amp, and then figure it out from there. I
yeah,
wouldn't be able to translate it from the car to back home.
yeah, yeah. No, that's the only way to do it, though.
Yeah. Another great song is Dark Water. It's a fantastic acoustic song. Who inspires you in the acoustic realm?
Yeah. So, like Doc Waters, Dead Weight, all that, like singer-songwriter style. That's I love that style of music. I love making that style of music. Um, and I feel like that's where, voice wise, that's my most comfortable spot. I love that. But I mean, I love listening to all types of music. So that kind of laid back style, whether it's Chris Cornell or just if there's a Spotify station that has all that stuff that I'm just hearing,
Yeah.
I love all that.
Well, how about acoustic guitar? Is there somebody that really motivates you acoustic guitar wise?
Like acoustic guitar playing.
Yeah.
Um, Not so much that I could pinpoint as far as like a specific acoustic guitar player, but I mean, as far as songwriting in that realm, like anything from the Beatles,
Yeah.
on, whether it's even before that, if it's like jazzy stuff. I loved that last Chris Cornell, the Higher Truth album, which has a lot of that style. But yeah,
You talked about Dead Weight. That's predominantly a keyboard or a piano song. When did you start playing keyboards? Was it before guitar or was it, all into mixed?
yeah. So that Dead Weight did on a Baby Grand piano.
Oh, wow.
Um, and I have a old Baby Grand here that I write on. But I actually recorded that at this awesome place in Vegas that had a beautiful piano. Um, but I was playing piano just by teaching myself from years ago, just from knowing chords on the guitar and trying to figure out stuff on the piano. But when I was, let's see, so after I was playing with Janie, I met a guy named Ron Feldman who has since passed, but he worked with Janie early on when Janie was younger, vocally. So when I was playing with Janie, I wasn't really singing. And Janie would always be like, "You got to learn to sing and play slide guitar." That was something he would always tell me.
Yeah.
But so I met Ron, which was his vocal coach at an early period, and I just started. Ron was showing me how to sing, and within that, he was showing me how to sing and then sing piano scales. So I was learning piano scales and singing the piano scales. So piano and voice kind of all became
Got it.
one thing for me. So then I was learning piano songs to sing with, and it kind of just went from there. But I just love sitting down at the piano, as limited as I am on the piano, and trying to create. So
Yeah. It's interesting. You and Zach both played piano too. Was that was that a connection you guys have? As after you learned obviously how to play piano.
Yeah, I mean, Zakk's a phenomenal piano player.
Really?
Uh, I did play on like the Book of Shadows tour we did with Zakk. I predominantly played keys on that d during the live tours that we did of that. But yeah, no, I've learned a lot from him watching him play piano as well.
Yeah. You know, one of my favorite parts that I live for when I see you guys, Black Label, is behind the neck guitar playing, both you and Zakk. Sometimes he stands on the piano. I don't, one of you guys stand on the piano. Sometimes I've seen it. How hard is it to get that in sync? I know you can play it, but you're playing with somebody else and a band. How difficult is that?
In sync as far as like us two playing together,
Yeah, harmonies.
unison
It's
parts.
one thing to look at it, and you know, it's another thing to do it behind your back and not be able to look at it.
What? It feels the same when it's behind your head, but you just kind of go, I hope I'm in the right spot and let's hope this happens. That's kind of what happens every night.
Is that every time you get up there? You're like, I hope this happens.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know where you're at, but you kind of hope, you know what, I'm in the right spot, and it goes from there. But yeah, it just it's magic.
That is my favorite part. I love that. Um, Tell me about the transition from being with Zakk 14 years. You're playing guitar on stage with him, and now you have your own band and you're the front man. Is that a little more nerve-wracking? Is that a little bit more exciting? How do you perceive it?
You know what? Like after doing these couple shows last week, it doesn't feel any different to me. It feels
Really?
what what I've always known. So it kind of feels all the same. Yeah.
Yeah, no jitters, extra jitters, getting up there and go, oh man, I got to sing this, you know? It's like,
No, no, I was psyched. Yeah.
oh, that's great. I mean, braver man than myself. I mean, those are always my nightmares of like getting up and having to sing, or suddenly I'm in a band with Def Leppard or something like that, and you're like, I don't know any of the songs, and it's like, oh my God, it's just be a
Yeah.
scary.
No, I have that same recurring dream of like backstage and it's like you're about to go on and you see the set list and you're like, those are 15 songs that I don't know. We're gonna play those. That's like a recurring dream.
Oh my
Uh,
God, that's
yeah,
awesome. That
yeah.
is funny. That is really fun. I didn't think you guys had that. Does Zakk ever call audibles, or it's pretty much sticks to the set list?
Um, yeah, I guess we stick to the set list.
Yeah, I heard. I interviewed Nils Lofgren, and he told me that Bruce Springsteen calls audibles all the time. So he has to know every song in Bruce's catalog for fear. And he says it's really nerve-wracking. Bruce calls it out. It's like, oh my God, we haven't played this in 5 years, and you got to know it. So
It's pretty awesome. Keeps you sharp.
definitely does. It definitely does. Talking about the album, I think that your guitar tone is tremendous on it. It's so full, present, and full of bite. What was your setup in the studio for this? Considering you made it one half a year or so ago, and one half 6 months ago, I would never know that from the continuity of the album. So,
Yeah, so I actually was fortunate to be able to do it in the exact same studio within those separate years apart. But it was my JCM 800
mhm,
Marshall through my 5150 cabinet,
mhm.
straight cab. And when I did those songs a few years ago, I used my Les Paul standard that I have. So when I came back to do it, I just continued with that guitar because I wanted to try to keep it the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty much it. The Les Paul, the JCM 800, the 5150 cab, and an overdrive pedal. That's like that was the root of the tone.
Zach's overdrive pedal is tremendous. Do you use that at all?
Yeah, it's amazing. That's the pedal.
That's one. Oh, really? That's one of my favorite pedals.
Yep. In the studio, I used the Boss Super Overdrive, but it sounds very similar.
Yeah. Whew. That's cool. It's good to know. I love that pedal. I use that all the time. I think it's a tremendous pedal
Yep,
since I've done it.
absolutely.
Blew out everything out of the water I ever tried. Tube
Yep.
Screamer is close, but not quite.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I love the Tube Screamer as well. Just different thing.
Yeah. Is there one song on Spirit in the Glass that best captures where you are as a guitar player? You're always evolving, you're always growing. You've done Janie, you've done Lizzie Borden, you did solo albums. Now you got this, you got Zakk.
So as a guitar player, I mean, like the solo and Afterglow is one of my favorites on the album. Um, and then just like musically, um, like Dead Weight is one of my favorite songs because it's a totally different vibe with the piano and just vocal. And then Bullet in Our Chamber, the last song in the album, has a totally different vibe. That's really has its own thing to it, different from the rest of the album. So that's another one that I'm psyched on, just overall musically. Yeah.
How does it compare to doing a instrumental album? What's your thoughts? Being in a band and doing an album.
Yeah, like the two I did on Shrapnel,
Yeah,
Death with Tribulations, and the first one that was the first one that was on Shrapnel. I mean, when I'm writing those, I'm pretty much thinking the same way. I'm writing a song that could have vocals on it, so I'm arranging it in a similar manner. I'm just putting guitar solos or melodies in those places. So this is the same exact idea. I'm just now singing over the top of it.
when you're doing instrumental, do you think, intro, verse, chorus, and so on?
There's like a kind of a basic structure that you kind of end up sticking with, but for me, the song, once you get into the song kind of dictates what part's going to come next, or if you want that riff to go longer, or if you want to fall out of it and go into a jam section and come back. So the song kind of ends up telling its own story. Start off with that basic structure and go from there.
That's great. That's great. I have to go back and find some of your solo albums, the instrumental ones. I'm really curious. That was just called Dario, right?
Yeah, that first one was 2013. It was just self-titled. That was the first one on Shrapnel, and the second one was Death Grip Tribulations, which was in 2017, and that was also on Shrapnel. Those were so much fun to make. I loved that whole process. So
Yeah. Are you planning to do more instrumental down the road, or you're going to focus on Dark Chapel for a while now?
right now, Dark Chapel's the main focus, and you never know, it could be. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing a lot more with Dark Chapel and singing and going that way.
That's great. I do a lot of photography, so I definitely want to see you guys. I've photographed Zakk and you a million times. He always lets me stay in the pit longer.
Awesome.
He says,
Yeah,
stay in there, take pictures, and
yeah, that's great.
I love Zakk's videos too. They're really funny on social media. And why does he always pick on JD? I saw a picture. I saw a video. You and JD are punching each other, and he's taking it from you. He seems like such a nice guy. What's going on?
Yeah, yeah, that's the storyline.
JD could take a punch, right?
Oh yeah, well he can give one. He can definitely give throw a punch.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you guys ever actually hit each other doing these videos and goofing around?
I don't know. I don't think there's been any mishap yet.
That's good. So
Yeah.
some of those punches you were throwing at him look close.
Yeah, you try to get as close as you can.
Who's doing the sound effects for the hitting? Is that like done behind the scenes?
Oh, we got a whole team. There's a whole production team that makes these happen.
Oh, wow. Really?
All within Black Label. It's just yeah.
That is so funny. I enjoy him. I get a real kick out of it. I interviewed him, JD, a while ago, and I mispronounced his name. I think I added an extra A when I was pronouncing it. And he got mad. And he busted my chops relentlessly throughout the whole interview. He goes, "You're Italian and you can't pronounce my name." It's like, oh,
JD's the best.
yeah. Well, listen, I wish you the best of luck with the album. I think it's great, and I can't wait to see you guys perform it live. So I will definitely be there. And thank you for an insightful and fun interview. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
All right, you
Take care.
Bye bye.